Have you ever wondered why some women choose to live alone and never look back? No husband, no partner, no need to explain. Is it loneliness, rebellion, or something much deeper, something society would rather not talk about? Let me tell you a story, not from a book, from a lifetime. Come sit with me. Let's begin. Living alone but never left behind. They say a woman without a man must be missing something. I've heard that all my life. At family dinners, in the church pews, even at the grocery store. Poor thing, still alone? But let me tell you something I've come to know deep in my bones. A woman living alone is not missing a thing, not a thing. She wakes up in a quiet house, not because no one wanted to stay, but because she chose her own company. She makes her coffee just the way she likes it. No one leaves socks on the floor. No one dims her light. There's peace in that kind of space. And it's not empty, it's full of something many people never find: contentment. Years ago, I thought I needed someone beside me to feel whole. Society teaches you that. Marriage, rings, dinner for two. But then life happened. Some folks passed away, others walked away, and somewhere in the middle of all that, I stayed. I stayed, and I learned that I didn't need someone to fill a space I could fill myself. I know a woman down the street. Her name's Ruth. She gardens alone, laughs alone, even goes to the movies by herself. People whisper about her like she's fragile. But when I look at her, I don't see fragile. I see strong. Strong enough to say no to noise, to pressure, to the idea that a woman is only complete when someone claims her. This kind of woman, the one who walks home by herself, eats alone, sleeps in a bed she mad as she's not abandoned. She's not bitter. She's not waiting. She's choosing. And that choice, let me tell you, frightens the world. Because it's powerful. She doesn't need rescuing. She doesn't need pity. She has herself, and for many, that's the loudest truth they don't want to hear. No longer searching because she found herself. There was a time she prayed for someone to come along. Someone to sit with her in the evenings. Someone to call her name when dinner was ready. She used to watch couples walk by, holding hands, and wonder if something was wrong with her. Why hadn't it happened yet? Was she too picky? Too quiet? Too much? I know how that feels. I spent years thinking happiness had to come from another person. Someone to share the burdens, the holidays, the Sunday mornings. But here's what I learned, and what she learned too. Peace doesn't come from someone else's presence. It comes from your own. She stopped looking, not because she gave up, but because she looked in the mirror one morning and saw someone she actually liked. There was no need to search anymore. The search was over, not in defeat, but in discovery. Now she fills her own shelves with books she loves. She paints her kitchen the shade she wants. She dances barefoot in her living room when the right song comes on. And she laughs not because anyone told a joke, but because she finally feels free. This kind of contentment isn't loud. It's quiet and steady. It doesn't show up in family portraits or matching rings. It shows up in how softly she speaks to herself now, how gently she moves through her days, how little she asks from the world, and how much she gives back. The truth is, she didn't find the one. She became the one. And once that happened, the need to chase faded like an old photograph in the sun. That kind of truth, the quiet joy of a woman who's no longer searching, makes people uncomfortable because they were taught she needed someone else to feel whole. But she knows now. She was never missing anything. She just hadn't looked inside long enough. And once she did, she found someone worth staying for herself. A quiet house, filled with warmth. Her home doesn't echo with voices anymore. No one calls out from the next room. There's no television running just to fill the silence. And yet, the space feels far from empty. She sets the table for one. A single plate, one glass, a bowl of warm soup, maybe a slice of bread still soft in the middle. She doesn't rush through dinner. She savors each bite, each quiet moment. The world outside moves fast, but in here, time slows down just enough to be kind. Afterward, she makes a pot of tea. Chamomile in the evenings, maybe mint on a summer morning. The kettle whistles, and she smiles to herself. The small rituals matter more now. They're not chores, they're comfort. Sometimes she sits by the window with a book in her lap. Other times, she just watches the leaves move in the breeze. There's no one to impress, no one asking questions. Just her and the rhythm of her day. That kind of peace used to feel impossible. Years ago, she was afraid of being alone, afraid the silence would feel like a punishment. But now she knows it's not silence, it's stillness. And in that stillness, she's found something most people miss. A deep, steady warmth that doesn't depend on anyone else to keep it burning. I know this kind of life. I've lived it too. The world expects us to need noise, company, constant motion. But a woman living alone learns how to hear the quiet and love it. This is what many don't understand. They see one chair pulled out, one coffee cup in the sink, and they think something's missing. But she knows better. Her house may be quiet, but her life is full of care, of presence, of peace. That's not loneliness, that's home. Love, if it comes, must be shared, not forced. She's not waiting for someone to save her. That time has passed. She doesn't believe in white horses or someone sweeping in to make everything whole. She already did the hard work. She made herself whole. If love comes into her life now, it must know how to walk beside her, not in front, not behind, just beside, step for step, no pushing, no pulling. There was a time when she bent herself to fit, made herself quieter, softer, smaller. She laughed when she didn't feel like laughing, agreed when her heart disagreed. All to be loved, or at least accepted. But that kind of love wears thin, like a coat that looks good on the hanger but pinches at the shoulders when worn too long. She learned to hang it up and walk away. Now, if someone wants to come into her world, they'll have to come gently, with open hands, not heavy expectations. They'll have to understand that she's built a life she doesn't need to escape from. A life she treasures. She doesn't need someone to fix her roof, fill her fridge, or finish her sentences. What she needs, if anything, is a companion, not a caretaker. Someone who listens without interrupting. Who respects silence as much as laughter. Who doesn't need to be the center of her world, but is content just to share the view. I've seen women like her. I've sat with them at garden tables, over coffee, over time. They are kind but firm. They will open their door, but only for those who knock with care. That kind of love, the quiet, steady kind, is rare, and it only finds you when you've stopped begging for it. She doesn't chase it. She doesn't fear its absence. Because a woman who lives alone, truly alone and at peace, doesn't need to be completed. She needs to be met with respect, with grace, and with truth. Maturity is choosing carefully who you open your heart to. She used to fall for kind words, a soft voice, a promise wrapped in charm. When someone said the right things, her heart leaned in, hopeful, ready, maybe even desperate for something gentle. But time taught her otherwise. Now, when someone says, "You're different," she doesn't blush. She listens, quietly. She doesn't rush to believe anymore, not because she's cold, but because she's been burned. She remembers the night spent waiting by the phone, the mornings after when the silence was louder than any goodbye. She remembers loving too quickly, trusting too fast, giving too much. So she learned, slowly but surely. She learned to look past the words and into the actions, to feel not just what was said, but what was shown. And most of all, she learned to wait to let time reveal what charm can't hide forever. These days, she opens her heart like one opens an old jewelry box carefully, deliberately, knowing its value, not just to anyone. Only to someone who's earned their place, step by step, without forcing the lock. She's not bitter. She still believes in love. But not in fairy tales, not in quick sparks or fast connections. She believes in something slower now, something rooted, something real. That's the kind of woman society doesn't quite understand. They think she's too guarded, too hard to reach. But the truth is, she's not unreachable, she's just wise. She's lived long enough to know that love, if it's true, won't need to rush. It will be patient, it will be clear, and it will never ask her to shrink. She's not closing herself off. She's just finally honoring the lessons her life has given her. And that kind of wisdom, quiet as it is, speaks louder than all the sweet talk in the world. She lives differently, not out of rebellion, but because she understands. She never needed the big wedding, the lace, the church bells, the flower petals down the aisle. She saw it all happen for others, sometimes joyful, sometimes not. And while everyone said, "Someday you'll want that too," she quietly smiled and let them believe what they needed to. But inside, she already knew. She wasn't chasing a picture-perfect life, not the kind printed in magazines, not the kind built on expectations. She didn't need a ring to prove her worth, didn't need children to feel complete. These were beautiful paths for some, but they were not the only ones. Her life took a different shape. She planted her garden in pots on a sunlit porch. She traveled when the spirit stirred. She built deep friendships that didn't depend on obligation. She stayed up late reading, or sometimes just thinking, remembering. And every choice she made came from listening inward, not reacting outward. People didn't always understand. Some called it strange. Others assumed she must be bitter or lost. But the truth was far from that. She didn't live differently to make a point. She wasn't trying to be bold. She was simply honoring what felt right. And that living from the heart, not the rule book, is a kind of quiet courage the world doesn't always know how to name. She walks her path with soft steps, not loud, not dramatic, but certain. And the funny thing is, the more she lived her way, the more peaceful she became. No regrets, no pretending, just the steady rhythm of a life chosen, not copied, not inherited, not borrowed. In a world that pushes women to explain themselves, to fit in, to settle down, she stands as a reminder. Not every story needs the same ending. Some stories are soft, some are slow. Some are written by women who chose to live alone, not because they had no other way, but because they finally understood the value of their own voice. That woman is a reminder for society to look again. She doesn't speak loudly. She doesn't argue at dinner tables or wave signs in the street. But when she walks into a room, something shifts, not because she demands it, but because her stillness holds weight. People notice her, not for what she wears or who she's with, but for what she doesn't need. There's no wedding band on her hand, no man following behind, no stories of children raised or a husband waiting at home, and still she is whole, peaceful, steady. That alone unsettles people more than if she shouted it from the rooftops. Society isn't used to women like her. It teaches that happiness wears a white dress, that security lives in someone else's arms, that love, to be valid, must be shared. But she lives differently. Not because she's against those things, but because she never needed them to feel complete. She makes her own tea in the morning. She locks her own doors at night. She laughs at her own thoughts and cries without needing comfort. And through it all, she is not waiting. She is living. There's a kind of quiet truth in women like her, and that truth is this: no one ever said a woman must be coupled to be content. That idea was whispered into generations, but it was never true. I've known a few women like her in my lifetime. My neighbor Ruth, who never married. My sister-in-law, Helen, who found her peace late in life after walking away from a man who never truly saw her. These women don't ask for attention, but they leave a mark. They are reminders, gentle, firm, that women can choose themselves. And when they do, it doesn't mean they've given up on love. It means they've stopped giving themselves away to earn it. She's not alone because she couldn't find someone. She's alone because she found something better, herself. And that, my friend, is what society still struggles to accept. The end? She didn't choose this life because she had no options. She chose it because she finally saw her own worth. A woman living alone is not a sign of sadness, it's a quiet symbol of strength. So, if you see her walking home with a soft smile and steady step, don't feel sorry. Feel inspired. She's not missing anything. She's already found everything she needs within herself. And maybe that's the truth society finds hardest to accept. If this story touched something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it too. And if you'd like to walk with us through more voices like hers, hit that subscribe button and stay close. There's more to tell.